Okay, Lieutenant Colonel Lopez.
Yeah,
okay.
Colonel Turner's our colonel now.
Okay.
But Lieutenant Colonel Lopez made the call because stuff was going sideways in a hurry, and he told us that we were weapons free. And what weapons free means is that if it's on the street, then it's an enemy combatant.
Okay.
We had, and to help like protect the civilians a little bit, or actually a lot of it, we had psyops roll around. And what psyops is basically a Humvee with big speakers, and they say stuff in Arabic like, you know, if you're not in this fight, stay inside your house, or you know, you will be hurt. And this one of the so people would stay in their houses. So if anybody was outside their house, they were part of the Mujahideen, and they were wearing black, basically black pajamas and a red head wrap.
Oh, they're also wearing something else too as shoes,
Yeah, they were wearing like brand new running shoes.
Okay.
You know, so it's really distinguishable between them and a civilian.
Okay, but even though they the word went out that anybody was a target, because I understand they were some of them at times worn in uniform, or the uniform that they were using to identify themselves.
And what they did was they had weapons pre-staged in certain points. So they'd run to a house, pick up an AK-47, shoot the magazine at you, set the AK-47 down, and then run to the next position. So when we saw them in the open, they didn't have any weapons, so we didn't engage.
Okay.
So that's one of the reasons why Colonel Lopez made that call, is because that's what they were doing, because they knew we wouldn't shoot them unless we saw them with weapons.
Okay. So he made the call that anybody on the streets after that were going to be...
were considered hostile.
Okay, okay. So I imagine that made it a lot easier for you after that for engaging targets.
Yes.
Okay. Because part of that...
What we do is we would try to engage somebody with a weapon, but due to the distance and stuff, you weren't really too sure if that were, you know, if it was an enemy combatant or not. So you would hold your fire, and then by the time you realized you could fire, he would be already gone. And the other thing, you would see muzzle flashes coming from windows, and you would try to engage the muzzle flashes as much as possible.
Okay. So the problem was at the distance you were at from, and how far away from you were, kind of from the actual 440 area?
From 440 to the railroad tracks, it was about 150 meters. And then from here to the target house was about 200 meters from the lead point. And then the city is probably about 400 meters.
Okay, real quickly, I got the camera on there. Can you just briefly go through that real quick?
Probably about approximately 150 to 200 meters from 440 to the railroad tracks. And from lead point to the building was about 250 meters, give or take. And then to the edge of the city where the buildings were was approximately anywhere from 300 to 400 meters.
Okay. So yeah, like you were saying, prior to being given the order from Lieutenant Colonel Lopez, you were actually having a difficult time identifying the targets, because from the rules of engagement at that time, you had to identify them with a weapon, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
If they had a weapon on the street, we were cleared to engage. And when the colonel made the call, it just kind of relieved the stress of, can we shoot this guy, can we not? And when you see a guy with, you know, essentially black pajamas out on the street with no gun, you knew that he was an enemy combatant, but you couldn't shoot because he had no weapon.
Okay, so a lot of times these Mujahideen or foreign fighters they would stage in weapons in houses. I understand you right. That's what you were saying. They were running from one house to another without a weapon, so you couldn't engage them.
Right, and one of the main reasons for this whole upset that started was when the Marines first got there, we would patrol the cities. We were actually the first coalition forces on the deck to actually walk through the streets and do foot patrols, talk to the people, tell them hello, good morning, ask them how they were doing, trying to be nice to them, you know. And the Mujahideen, one was captured and quoted saying that they believed that the Marines were soft as kittens.
Okay, so the culture at that time didn't respect the fact that y'all were showing.
They didn't understand that the Marines, I mean, we can play nice, but as soon as you mess with us in the wrong way, we're gonna put on the iron glove.
Okay.
And that's what happened. They had approximately 400 enemy insurgents there versus Lima Company reinforced.
Where'd you get that figure from?
The figure was from a report that came out afterwards, and that was also the number that was reported to us by Hire at the time.
Okay, okay, so just intelligence from both the battalion and from division or MEF or something.
Right, and from what we could tell, like from counterintelligence, like after they rolled up some of the guys and talked to them.
Oh, interrogated prisoners.
Combat questioning.
Okay, okay.
Just ask them questions like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And they're like, they thought we were pushovers. Like their plan was to kill an entire platoon, kill half a platoon, and then capture the rest of that platoon. And that's what they wanted.
And this is what the prisoners were telling y'all?
That's what, yes.
Okay.
And,
did you hear any prisoners say that, or was that just...
Me personally, no. My Arabic, I mean, there's Iraqis speak better English than I speak Arabic, so that's pretty much where I stand.
Okay.
And back in OF2, my squad leader basically told me not to speak Arabic because I, fresh from Texas, hadn't been in the Marine Corps that long, still had a pretty big accent, so the Arabic was horribly slaughtered by my accent. So. Okay.
Okay. So yeah, you said the squad leader was actually trying to find a better position in which to move at that time.
Right. Corporal Heath had moved over to the north side of the tracks. I was on top of the tracks suppressing the city as much as possible. And when Corporal Heath went over, he took Lance Corporal Blaya, Lance Corporal Smith, and I believe PSC Ramirez with him, which was a squad leader, 2 team leaders, and a rifleman, which is a very unorthodox team, but he just turned around, saw a body, said, "Hey, you 3 come with me." Okay.
And do you remember, from that time, what kind of targets you were seeing? Were you actually seeing people running around? Were you firing muzzle flashes from windows? That kind of thing?
Well, the main thing I was focusing on big buildings with a lot of muzzle flashes. That's what my primary concern was. But I would see groups of 3 or 4 people come out of the buildings, and they fit the description of the enemy. So I would engage them, and then shift to another target, trying to engage that target as much as possible.
Okay. Did you actually see if you actually hit anybody that day, or?
I saw people go down. You see impacts on people and they drop, and so you got them. But confirmed, I never confirmed any kills on that day because they were so far away and there's so much going on. I have way more stuff to worry about than if I killed the guy or not.
Okay, okay. So you were just like I said, as a saw gunner, your mission was suppressive fire, so you were just trying to keep as much of the pressure off of the squad.
Right.
Okay.
And Corporal Heath and them were on the other side of the tracks. Cat rolled up, and they started engaging targets. They were doing what is called overhead fire. It's another one of them unorthodox methods, essentially not supposed to do it, but at the time we needed them to do it, so they did it. They had a 50 cal Mark 19 and 2 240s. 50 cal is a heavy machine gun, shoots a 50 caliber bullet. The slug is about as long as your index finger. It's pretty gnarly.
So the diameter of the bullet, that's what 50 cal is. It's like half an inch in diameter. Right?
Yeah.
So it's no little small round.
Yeah, the projectile of 50 cal is the same length as a whole 5.56 cartridge and all. So
okay.
It packs a punch. The Mark 19 is a heavy machine gun, shoots a 40mm grenade. It's a belt-fed weapon. It's really fucking gnarly.
Okay.
So
when the Humvee pulled up, it was conducting overhead fire.
Yes.
Okay.
At that time, and not really knowing, I'm sure that machine gunners are a bunch of good guys. I mean, most of them are meatheads, but they're good at their job. So I would trust them to do it. So when they started firing, I could